Well, welcome back. It's now 4 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. It's a cold day, but hey, let's do this. Okay, so welcome back to the program. My name is Victor Lowe. Before we get into the discussion today, let me take you through the front page of our local dailies, as we normally do it. On the front page of the Standard, Agencies of Slavery. That is also on the front page of the Standard, Agencies of Slavery. This is technically what's happening between, what's happening actually in Russia. The Standard says that as police work to dismantle a suspected multinational crime ring trafficking Kenyans to Russia to fight in the war against Ukraine, witness statements and evidence they have so far reviewed point to two major entities and several individuals involved in selling their fellow countrymen into the deadly trap. Statements from 22 suspects arrested in Athi River on September 24th reveal how desperate job seekers were enticed by dubious agents with promises to better opportunities abroad, only to realize that after their arrest, that they had been lured into an unimaginable and perilous situation. And that is what's here based on what is happening in Russia. Very quickly, again, the senior school placement for pioneer learners begin. That is basically more somehow related to what we're going to discuss today. State says that it's no longer about who scored highest, but where a learner is most likely to thrive. And it also says that the placement mirrors the country revenue allocation model. So in CBC, according to David Njengere, who is the Kenya National Examination Council Chief Executive Officer, he said that in CBC, learners move to senior school to specialize. And what matters is their strength in the subjects that they are going to pursue, not an aggregate. Allow me to stop at that. I'll come back to that later on. On the front page of the Daily Nation, death on highways. Again, we talked about that when we were starting the show. It's all about negligence and authorities on the spot for failing to strictly enforce traffic rules. More people have been killed in road crashes this year compared to last year, with fears that casualties will rise during the busy festive season towards year ends unless swift action is taken to restore sanity. That is what is here. And again, the story talks about the last moments of Cyrus Jirongo, where veteran politician Cyrus Jirongo had dropped a friend at a Naivasha hotel shortly before he died in a road accident at Karai area on his way back to Nairobi some minutes past 2 a.m. on Saturday. According to latest accounts, an attendant at a petrol station the former MP drove into minutes to the accident also offered fresh details into the tragedy. So, yeah, that's the story that is here, more on the death of former Lugari MP and Cabinet Minister Cyrus Jirongo. Learners open on change of senior school pathways. Again, more or less the same thing we are going to discuss shortly. Stay with us. And finally, on the front page of the Star, big Gen Z lie. IBC raises red flag on voter apathy, and mini polls has now shown. Data shows that 57% of eligible voters are under the age of 35. And that is what's here. Why Winnie Odinga is under scrutiny in ODM. Another good read there if you love politics. You can take a look at that story in details. Okay, so let's come back to the discussion. And in studio, I have George Sikulo, who is the CEO of the National Parents Association here in the country. All right, so to speak, Kenya. He is the CEO of National Parents Association. Welcome, George.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
The last time we were here was close to 2-3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And we talked a lot of things. Good enough. Most of them are coming to pass and actually on our today's local newspapers.
Yeah.
Let's start from where it is. On the front, which is one of the stories that is put there that senior school placement for pioneer learners begin. And now KJSEA does not provide aggregate scores.
Yeah.
Now exam body can clarify.
Yeah.
Very good. Today is people and politics.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some politics in education.
Okay.
And I believe this is some politics in education, right?
Yes.
Where do we start? Politics and education. How are these two combined or linked?
That's an interesting one, Victor.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Politics shapes society's life in many ways. And so, for example, practically, politics does influence public policy because the instruments of defining or even developing public policy are in the political sphere, parliament, executive, and so on. But also politics is powerful in shaping public perception. So therefore, intake of anything new, especially something as massive as education, is heavily affected by political direction. KBC, for example, has been going through transition. We're changing from one system to another.
Yeah.
And politics does shape a lot how people, the speed at which people take that change. Politics, as you know, also does influence public participation because then mobilization on public participation is largely political.
Yes.
And then lastly, politics does, influence momentum building or simply mass movement. So for that reason, I think in terms of education being a very huge basic activity, everyone is supposed to be involved in. So you will find that politics then becomes like the hinge of that big door that would determine how fast things move in whichever direction. So yeah, it's
very
relevant.
good. A very good way to start because the show today is about people and politics, but then now we want to talk about how education and politics are linked. Yeah. Let's come out to our today's discussion. We are in a festivity, and lest we forget, even the good book says that remind them. Yeah. Even if they know, but keep on reminding them. So what's ahead of us after the holidays? It has been a very busy year for you as National Parents Association. Please just take us back, perhaps under 1 minute if you can, how the year has been, and up to this point, what are some of the deliverables from NPA?
Okay, very good. On the public side, it was a year that was sort of refreshing, but also, high tension for parents. We began the year with parents wondering, how do we select pathways? And so we went through that, and the ministry deployed its machinery, curriculum support officers, and so on, and we were able to get through that. And then following shortly after that, the parents began to have new anxieties about how to select senior schools, clusters and so on. So there was clarifications done by the ministry, more explanations done, again, with support of career, teachers within the school. Again, parents were able to select the schools. Yeah. And then after that, of course, there was the conversation about capitation delays, which again, brought in some tension, on the parent side. And again, the ministry has kept making different decisions around that to improve the situation. Then towards the end of the year, there was the perennial worry about examinations, and especially now for the grade 9, because then it's a very new type of examination. It is competency-based examinations. We don't have past papers. The questions are a different structure of questions. They're very competency-based and so on. So that was an anxious moment also for parents, but we went through that. Interestingly, the young people, the grade 9s themselves were not really worried. It was more the parents worried, but the young people are not worried, I guess, courtesy of the KBC system. CBE does make them very confident. Yeah. So the young people themselves were not actually complaining, and they were not actually worried, but the parents were just worried because of where they're coming from in terms of history. And then we did get into we did get into the anxiety of waiting for results, and then the results have come, and as you can see, it's a different tempo. It's not like what you're used to of this school is number one or this person is number one. No, it's a totally different thing again, and we are living through that. As NPA, of course, we are glad that that working with stakeholders and supporting parents emotionally, we've been able to get through that. But also the interesting things at NPA this year is that we were able to work with the KJSEA to continue with sensitization of this whole CBE system, and we've been able to achieve sensitization in 24 counties. And so we're sort of looking forward to continuing to 47 counties. We also were able to co-create together with other stakeholders, especially the Directorate of Cohesion under the Executive Office of the President. We were able to co-create a manual for parents for inculcation of values. And then we were part of a pilot report on how value-based education will be deployed effectively in all the schools, because Zizi Afrique did sponsor a research in 73 schools on what we call the whole school approach.
Yes.
And that research does show how values can be inculcated, integrated in daily learning within a school environment. And so based on that success of that research, we're looking forward to working with stakeholders to deploy that across the country, in all the schools. And the parents do play a big role there, because then they are the ones who actually are the final beat in inculcating values. So going to your question on what we should be looking forward to.
Before I get into that,
yes.
Perhaps what has been the response from the parent side? It must have been a very intense year.
Yes.
2025, new system coming in place. Students alike, the ministry, the education system, everything was a buffet, of different things put together.
Yeah.
What is the reaction like from the parents?
Very mixed reactions, yeah. A big number just feeling it is strange. It's new, and I understand that, because it's new. It's new, so I would understand that. So, but a big number of parents, just grappling with the newness of it, and having fears which sometimes may not necessarily come to be realities, but all the same, the fears were there. Of course, when it comes to something like examination, we don't have a big number of parents that are used to competency-based examination. We were having a conversation the other day with one of the heads of institutions, and and he made a very good comment.
Yes.
He said one of the children came to him after the examination and said, I was asked a competency-based question. I knew the answer, but I didn't have the vocabulary. So I think the question was, when dribbling a ball past an opponent, what are the 3 strategies you can use? And this is in regard to basketball.
Yeah.
So the young person told the mwalimu that, I knew that in the field, when you pass the ball between somebody's legs, you call that chobo.
You need chobo.
But Sasa, what is chobo now in an examination?
Yeah.
And so the mwalimu gave it a good laugh, but it's a lesson to learn. And mwalimu said, I think now, as we go to the next year, we need to pay a lot of attention also on such details that will support competency-based assessment, like, for example, correct vocabulary. When working through practical steps, we also need to learn how to explain those steps, the theory behind the steps. Yeah, so there was that kind of mixed feeling where people are just finding things new and so on. By and large, there was anxiety. There was a sense of, I don't know what's going to happen next. There was a sense of, where do we really get information? Is this the information, or is there more information? Yeah. There was a little bit of almost not trusting that that this is the final thing being said. Of course, because everything is new, there is also constant change around it. So those changes also, were a bit pulsating for parents. But yeah, by and large, I think the good news is that as we have continued, the facts have been coming up by themselves. For example, we are through with examinations. We are through with pathway selection, and it happened. We are through with school selection. We are through with examination. So now, as we look forward, we are looking for new things. Of course, there is now new anxieties around school placement, which we'll discuss again maybe on this show. But yeah, we are seeing that the things that we worried about have gone pretty well. Yeah.
That is a very good point, because I wanted us to open this discussion. Come to think of it, as the National Parents Association, you play a very key role. And come to think of it, the government also was on the spot. Talk of capitation, talk about capitation, you talked about placement, you talk about lack of textbooks. And KICD, a few days ago, said that publishers are also not being paid their dues, around 5 billion or something. And they're also holding on doing the printing and supply of textbooks. You can imagine schools are being reopened not too long from now. That is 2 weeks or 3. What are we looking at? And that brings me to the question, what lies ahead of us after the holidays?
After the holidays, after festivities, I think it is good for all stakeholders to remember that education is still going on. So that's important for us to know. And there are several things that we need to pay attention to. And one of them is what you've just said. So we have books that need to be distributed. As Professor Ngondo said, the print manuscripts are ready, but the publishers still have some logistical and administrative issues to work out with the ministry. I think for us as parents, we will only urge that does happen quickly, because we don't have time. So that should happen. We really, if it doesn't happen, it will be an anxious moment again. Now remember also that the teachers in senior school are also experiencing now the real actual learners for the first time.
Yes.
Of course, retooling has been done and so on, but that's that's a lab context. But this is the first time they are receiving now CBC learners who are a different lot of learners. One, they have a different paradigm. They think differently. They are trained differently. They are brought up differently.
Yes.
They communicate differently. They collaborate differently. They are creative. They are imaginative, because the system has taught them to be like that. And they will probably get into a senior school which is not used to that type of learners. It is maybe used to learners who obey and run and follow without questioning. So it will be quite a change, and it should not be taken lightly that it will be quite a change. Of course, our teachers are able. Myself, I'm a teacher by training, so I know that a teacher can flex and change to adapt. So I'm not concerned about the professionalism, but I'm just saying it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about, of course, the school fees coming. Again, many parents, they tend to be last-minute people. So the school fees coming, and that's something to think about. There is uniform, to go with that. And then apart from the main textbooks that are given by government, there is also supplementary materials that are to be bought by parents. Again, those are also on the deck, and people should think about that. When it comes to the school itself, there are
because when it comes to schools, because the results is already out.
Yeah.
And now I can imagine the anxiety and the focus is now on the grade 10 placement.
Yeah.
You can expand on that.
Yes. So one is that we don't have worry about, as the ministry said, there is no worry about space.
Yes.
because there is more space than the learners, because there was some extra space for Form 1 that had not been used in a school. So space is not a problem. But in terms of aligning that space to the new cohort, there will be a few things that will be needing adjustment. One is that these results, if I go through one of the result slips, for example, let me just use that so that parents can understand. So the result slip, for example, will show someone got a certain number of points, and then they got a performance level. So maybe someone got something like 7, and then they got an exceeding expectation, another 8, exceeding expectation, and so on. And then now, this result slip is different from what we're used to. It is more informative.
Yes, and that it brought a lot of confusion.
Yes, but it's because we have developed.
Yeah.
This is what I call first world education now.
Right.
This is first world education. So the result slip is an information tool. It's not a blackboard like it was before, where we just say, 36 points or 72 points.
Let's go bit by bit.
Okay.
There is that parent out there who got the result slip, but to translate it or just to interpret that result slip itself, initially we used to call it report form.
Yeah.
Where's the report card or the report form? How would you break it down in simple terms?
Okay.
Yeah.
So in simple terms, I would say, go to the end of the result slip.
Yes.
Where you will see pathways. It's written pathways. So you'll see the first pathway is arts and sports pathway.
Right.
And below it, you will get a mark given to your child. So let's say maybe that child got 58 point something as a mark. Then you will see the next pathway there, social science pathway, and maybe another mark. Maybe it could be 40 something or maybe 60. And then a STEM pathway, maybe another mark.
Yes.
So assuming that technically a child maybe got 58 in arts, maybe another 58 in STEM, and maybe 60 in social science pathway. So it shows strongly that the child was stronger in the pathway of social science.
Yes.
And for people to understand that, and all this information I'm reading is available online. So there is this information that is produced by KICD that you can also get online on senior school.
We can get a copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted to read something for you inside there to explain my point. Yeah. So,
because this is interesting, even because when you talk about STEM and all that, schools, the books and the facility preparedness, especially for STEM, is still a very big issue.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You can also explain that.
I'll come to that. So when you're talking about, for example, arts and sports pathway, now, first of all, according to this production, there is a lesson distribution that is going to be at senior school. The children are going to learn several things. One, so in terms of hours, within a week, they are going to learn, of course, 40 hours a week, just like you work 40 hours a week, yeah? So there are core subjects like English. They'll spend about 5 hours on English per week. Then Kiswahili, 5 per week, because that is core. And then, depending on whether the person is in STEM or not, if they're not in STEM, they will have what we call essential mathematics, which is 5 hours a week. But if they're in STEM, of course, they will have the core mathematics, because they're studying mathematics. But everyone will have some kind of mathematics. And then there's community service learning, which is, for a parent of today, I would say it is just equivalent to what people do during attachment. So instead of waiting until people are all the way to university, it is integrated in the sense that as children continue to learn in the system, even at high school level, they keep having opportunities to practice, to see what they are learning in practice within their environment. And then there is electives. So every pathway has 3 elective subjects. So, for example, personally, I'm of the older system, so I understand from 5 and 6 how it used to go. And so we also had 3 elective subjects. So if someone, for example, wanted to do, medicine, they studied maths, chemistry, and biology as their elective subjects, and so on. So that will be the same thing happening here. If someone wants to be an engineer, maybe they study maths, physics, chemistry. That will be an elective subject. So they will have 3 electives, and then of course other core subjects that they learn in school will be physical education. In physical education here, we are not talking necessarily about PE, somersault. We're talking about understanding how the body the body works. Okay. And then we will have ICT, and then we'll have pastoral learning, and then group study or discussions will be part of that. So you can see that the day is full. So when we say the child is taking 3 electives, it doesn't mean they're taking 3 electives and being idle. No, the day is full. It's just that they are learning core things that make them a universal human being. And then they are also specializing in something that makes them a career person. So we are producing a balanced individual who is a universal human being who knows how their body functions, who can communicate, who collaborates with others, but at the same time, they are specializing in a role.
Let's take a quick break, because this is a show that requires some energy. That means that we are going to have some coffee break. Stay with us, because I want us to discuss more, because you've talked about pathways, and now even on the local dailies says that learners now open to change of senior school pathways. We are going to discuss about that, but the most important question is now what lies ahead of us, ahead of the festivities. Lest we forget. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's now time for us to get into it. And yes, cup of coffee. This is a branded cup, KBC, which means this is Good Morning Kenya. George, you also have yours?
Yes.
Very good.
Good morning,
Welcome.
Kenya.
Let's enjoy the coffee. Okay, George Sikulu is the CEO of the National Parents Association. Let's just talk about what lies ahead of us in 2026. But before that, let's talk about what the year has been for the parent, education system, the ministry, and even the students themselves. So, George, let me come back to you. How has the year has been for parents, for students, for teachers, for the education sector players, the ministry, everything? How has the year has been so far?
In my view, of course, we're progressing with very well with the CBE. Remember that this is the first year that the assessment part was now coming into play at national level. Now, I think it is important for parents to also understand that even this assessment at national level is only catering for 60% of the total market. So that's also something that people need to get used to, that the fact that the final tally of the candidate in the result was 40% from continuous assessment, which they called, I forget the name, but the continuous assessment was 40%, and that the final national assessment then is the one that was 60%. And so what they are getting is a mark of both what they got in the examination and what they got through their continuous work within the year. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so I think when now there was a flagging of the fact that now CBE has reached a point of assessment, so then we officially said, now let's stop only talking about the curriculum. And that's why the PS said, because now we are at assessment, we should stop talking CBC, because now the CBC is already having an assessment. So let's talk about the broad spectrum. So CBE, it means now we're talking about everything. We're talking about the pedagogy, we're talking about the curriculum, we're talking about the assessment, and so on. Some parents also confuse that to think that it's a change. No, it's not a change. That's just like CBE is a big picture, but within it there's components, and curriculum is only one of the components. So
you got so busy during the year because 24 counties got some CBE, dissemination of CBE materials?
Yes, information.
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 Okay.
Yes. What we did basically is that we went to 24 counties selecting about 60 parents association chairpersons from various schools at sub-county and county level, and then got a joint team of KICD, led by KICD, of people from NEC, people from MOE, people from KICD itself, and even people from a consulting company, to just step by step explain to parents what are the components, the build-up, the structure of CBE. Yeah.
Okay. And when you talk about that, I mean, look at the materials, because, parents are also part of the sector players.
Yeah.
If they don't get it right, even the students themselves do not get it right.
Yeah.
How did you support them?
This year, basically, I think one of the things that we're very proud of is that we've been able to develop a few materials for parents, and we still have a few others coming up in the first quarter of next year. But we had the value-based materials developed. Remember, the role of parents within the education system is defined. It's defined as mostly inculcation of values and promotion of learner welfare within the school. So therefore, academically speaking, the materials that are needed are, one, materials to support them to inculcate values, but also the structural materials to support them for parental engagement, empowerment and engagement at school level. So therefore, for the value-based materials, KICD was able to produce some creative materials like, bookmarks that can be shared between
this looks so good.
Between learners, teachers and parents, so that, for example, if
I think Professor Gondoweri is doing a very good job. Good job. Can I have one? Value in CBC: love, respect, unity, responsibility, peace, patriotism, integrity, and social justice.
Now read the other side. Read this.
Interesting.
Read the definition of social justice.
Social justice. There are different leaflets here. Social justice stands for fairness and justice in the rule of the game. I'm always ready to share resources equitably. And finally, inclusivity and non-discrimination in the order of meaningful life. When it's come to respect, I accommodate diverse opinions, I understand and appreciate others, and finally, I can engage in conversations amicably. This is interesting.
Yes, so now what we're saying is that we are not playing vague. We are defining to the children. When we tell them respect someone, we have defined for them what respect means. And so if the teacher says, hey guys, this month we want to practice respect. So maybe the teacher has their bookmark, and the parent has a bookmark in their Bible, and the child has their bookmark in their diary, and three of us as a team are working on respect this month. And every time we have a chance, we can share. You say, hey, I had a chance. So for example, if responsibility, for example, says, I care for my property and those of others. So a war story could be like, the other day, I saw something had spilled on my desk. And so I went and got some cloth and wiped it because I am responsible. So by the end of the month, through the conversations at home and also in school, we can then grow in responsibility. So this is a milestone that we have some materials for that. Of course, we also did produce the parents' manual working together with the stakeholders, and we're able to launch
nurturing national values in children and youth.
Because these national values are the mainstay under Chapter 10 of the Constitution, and that these school-based values are pulled from the national values. So the national values do include, of course, patriotism, they include gender, they include, citizenship, and so on. And that we were also able to co-create and also work with other stakeholders to produce this. And we are hoping that we could, get this now, the momentum of this built and deployed in a bigger way in the future. So of course, KSD did go ahead and produce other documents like, value-based education for teachers, guide, and maybe value-based education for heads of institution, the guide, so that all stakeholders have some understanding of how do you exactly disseminate values. So that was a big thing this year, to to move the curriculum to the next level.
Yeah.
Like the curriculum, remember these were already designed from the beginning, but there's always a right timing to disseminate different sections.
Very good.
So that was the time.
It must have been a very tedious year for you. But then, what's now remaining on your desk? That parents, the education sector players, and even the students themselves should understand there are certain files still remaining on your desk.
Yeah.
Your desk that has not been attended to,
Yeah.
and probably waiting to work on.
One of the biggest files remaining on my desk, of course, is to get all, or rather, can I say, a critical mass of parents understanding CBE. Yeah, we still meet a lot of parents that are worried, or they feel they don't have enough information and so on. So I think the onus is on us to say, how do we get information to a critical mass of them? And we would appeal to all stakeholders and players, like, for example, churches, to partner with us. You know, they have a lot of people, mosques. They have a lot of people that come to their spaces. Yeah. Who are parents every week, and we will be very happy to build capacity, bring in, share resources and so on. And of course, these things also, mobilization costs money. So also partners that will support this kind of things will be good. And we talked about politics.
Yes.
So if also key political leaders, the president and others who would help flag off this kind of things, I think we can go far, because then politics does shape public perception. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I would think that is a big file to be worked on, to get a critical mass of parents to understand CBE and be positive about it, because it's a good
thing. Now, Parliament plays a very key role.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the Committee of Education. I'm looking at a situation where the Committee of Education represents Parliament itself, and now, the legislature itself. But then now, come to think of it, have you had any good recordings with the Committee of Education or Parliament or Ministry of Education that now parents can sit back and say that, okay, fine, there has been some good reprieve towards the end of this year, and we're looking for a better year, 2026?
Not yet, at least not debrief from a parent's level.
Yeah.
But I would say that we see the progress made. As you can see, the work speaks for itself. So the structures have done what they're supposed to do. True. The MOE is working, and you can see that. You can see the progress. You can see movement. You can see placement is happening in schools. You can see curriculum. You can see books being developed, and so on. The committee for education is doing its job. Its job is oversight. So technically, the fact that good things are happening means they are working. So I think what is really urgent at the moment is not at their level. What is urgent right now is at our level, because we need to disseminate. It's not their role, it is us now, NPA, to disseminate that, working together with KBC, working together with KJSEA. We need to disseminate that to the parents using the platforms that have already been provided by the Constitution. The school AGMs, the parents' meetings, those those opportunities already have been provided by the state for communication. So I think it's more of us taking leadership, looking for partners, printing more material, mobilizing ourselves through the school heads of institutions and KICD and other players, and getting to the schools and getting to parents and providing information for them, because it is their right. It is their right to know that.
This is now, what we're just about to do is like a whistle now. Sahi ni ile wakati wa kuchija na kukaranga na kufanya nini, but lest we forget. So now, lest we forget, and now moving forward, this is a reminder. Ahead of 2026, what lies ahead of us after the holidays?
One, there is, first of all, the children have done exams.
Yes.
And the exam results may match what the child had envisaged, or sometimes they could differ because that is normal with assessments. So therefore, the first thing is that the ministry has said, and the PS said this, that the children will have an opportunity to make adjustment on the choice they made for pathway. So that's the first thing that lies ahead, is the parents need to understand that, yes, for some children it's straightforward, but in case there are any unexpected changes in the way they performed, there is that activity of helping that child to change to the more appropriate pathway. The second thing is that we have continued to receive many phone calls, from still parents, either worried, still in the old mentality of, I need to get my child to Alliance, or I need to get, and so on. So there's still that. And that is something that we are encouraging parents to think differently. The system is changing. It is learner-centered. It is not teacher-centered. So some of the worries that you had before about school A versus school B versus school C may not be worries right now, in the sense that the pedagogy is different, such that your child may not be as disadvantaged as you think by being in school A versus school B. So I would say maybe we shouldn't worry too much about that, and we should stop the old clustering in our heads of Mangu Alliance being this, and and Starehe being this, and so on. So that's the other thing.
That is okay. So now, come January, I know there's so many parents who are now wondering, but there's aspects of capitation. A call, reminder to the government, to the MOE, so that come January, we don't find ourselves again in a fix.
My take on capitation is that, by and large, capitation is capitation. Can I say payment?
Yes.
For lack of a better word, is largely an administrative issue, and it's not so much a parent's issue. It is an administrative issue. However, it tends to have a disruptive emotional effect on parents. While it is administrative and is not within our sphere, it is technically a head of institution challenge, but it tends to have a negative psychological effect on parents. So on that basis, I would say the government has been working on ways of being more efficient in disbursement of capitation. I would just say at all costs, let that be. Let that be. As we get into the new year, let that be. Because while it is very internal, it does have, it spills over in terms of causing anxiety among stakeholders.
Okay. I mean, come to, again, the issue of education and learning materials. We have KICD saying that they have not, they need to supply more books. Should parents be worried about that? Well, it's anxious. Basically, what KICD is, remember we have this is a new grade. This is grade 10. So we're talking about the course book here. KICD is talking about the course book. So as you know, government does provide the course books under the free education program. And we've done very well. The government has done very well because, as you know, like in primary schools, public schools, as at this year, the government did announce that they have achieved a 1-to-1 ratio of books. So far, it's been so good until grade 9 that the public schools are a higher ratio than the private schools actually, in terms of the learners' books. So to that extent, I'm not worried about the intention of government, because they have already proved that they do that. But then, as National Parents Association, what is your biggest wish as we enter the next year?
I think our biggest wish would be for more coalesced stakeholder engagement around mobilization and sensitization of parents on CBE. Because if parents understood CBE to the core, then 75% of the challenges will already be resolved.
What are some of the bottlenecks then?
The biggest one, of course, is getting everyone on board in terms of stakeholders, because you see, you're talking about 8.6 million households to reach. So everyone, whether it is in national government, whether it is NGAOs, whether it is politicians, whether it is the MOE, whether it is executive, have to be on board for this kind of information to get to people quickly at community level, in a transformational manner. So I think getting everyone at the table with the same intention of getting the information to the parents will be the first line of action that will be important. And with that goes resources. So I think our biggest challenge will be to get everyone at the table and then to get resources to be able to mobilize. Yeah. So at this point, I mean, the patronage of, for example, head of state would be very supportive, for such things, because then we're talking about the whole country here. We're talking about people needing to hear this information from various sources. So it would be really nice when you get to a point where the chief says something about CBE, and when he's not there, the county commissioner is also saying something about CBE, and when they are not there, the MOE is doing that. When they are not there, the parents' chairman is saying. If we get to that point, I think we'll be doing well.
Okay. You're the CEO of on NPA, and you have a membership of how many, what's the number?
The number of parents' associations in public schools are 42,000, equivalent to the number of schools.
Yes, but NPA?
So you see now, NPA is the conglomeration of that. So therefore, you're talking about a coverage of like 8.6 million households that are represented in those PAs, because every school has a PA. But in terms of volunteers working for NPA, the volunteers in every school are between 30 and 50, because every class has a representative, has a parent representative. Right. So 30 to 50. So technically, you're talking about 500,000 well-meaning Kenyans who serve for free in voluntary basis after they are elected to represent other parents, and I really want to hail them and support them, because they do a great job. They don't get paid, but they are either a chair or a class rep, and they attend meetings on behalf of parents, and they are available to explain things to parents, and that's about 500,000 people. Yeah.
People are going for holiday, and I'm so sure for you, your desk is still open, your office is still open, you're still meetings and meetings. But they're getting this gentleman is not easy. Calling him, I'll call you back, and that's it. Allow me to ask this question on behalf of the people you're representing. So what can you assure them that your office and your desk is doing to just give them some smooth transition into 2026? Let them enjoy their holiday in peace, and let them not be worried. Some word of assurance from your office.
The word of assurance that I want to give parents is that CBE still, in my opinion, remains the best education system that we could have for the future of the country. And especially as we think about moving the country to its next level, which the president is calling first world. Yes. And whichever word you call it, we need to move the country to its next level of success, and CBE is the best. So I think my encouragement to parents is don't panic about the mechanics of the program, because at the Ministry of Education, I see the technocrats are professionals working on it. And at our level as parents, we are available, and we're putting in effort to continue to provide information that we get from the technocrats to them. Our role is to disseminate. Yes. There are technocrats that are working on this information every time. Like when you see documents like this, they are done by professionals, the professors and so on. But our role is to take this and disseminate it, explain it in a language that can be understood. And
this can be done through workshops, sensitization, public participation.
Yeah, and they can count on us. They can count on us for that. So we are going to continue to do our mobilizations. We are going to continue going around the country. We are going to continue providing information through the PAs. We are going to continue training the PA chairpersons with more of this information and provide more of the tools and so on. So that we are going to continue to do.
Yeah. So that, they also understand that, yes, we are in a mood, we need to celebrate, but you can also remind them that, hey, January is almost coming here. What do parents need to do so that we don't get caught unawares?
Well, I guess parents are probably already used to the drill. So as much as possible, I'm sure that most parents have already planned for their expenses. There will be school fees coming, there will be books needing to be bought, there will be uniform needing to be bought, and things like that. There will, of course, be a number of parents who probably have cash flow challenges, which is understandable. God has a way of providing, because parenting is a gift from God, and so on. But still, I will just say, as we go through the festivities, lest we forget that there are still costs ahead of us, and eat sparingly.
Sparingly. But some people are going to forget that January is just around the corner. I mean, when you talk about that and the education system and the Ministry of Education, I know you're their representative. What is in store, perhaps that the parents can also be aware of ahead of next year?
What we've heard from the ministry?
Exactly, right.
So what we've heard from the ministry, of course, the ministry has clearly said that there will be room for children to make any adjustments in their pathways. That's one. Two, if there is the challenges around placement, there is already a routine on how the children will also be supported to get into the better option in terms of placement. The education system has already also shown that some of the classrooms that were not ready are being worked on. So that is also information we have. The other information we have, of course, now remember that for STEM, it is not only labs. So for STEM, there is labs, but remember there's also technical subjects. So for the technical subjects, there is a need, like for workshops or equivalent. It doesn't have to be a workshop, but maybe equivalent for face tests or something like that. So those I think what the education fraternity, I guess, is working around the clock to know what to do with that. We're yet to receive a very clear information about that, but maybe I can express the worry of parents at this point. The worry of parents is we have not seen a plan on how the workshops will be taken care of. We also have not seen a plan on how technical teachers will be availed, because at the moment, we have not been having those technical subjects except at vocational training centers. So for schools, I think we probably don't have enough manpower for that. So as parents, we have a question around what will be done as a stopgap measure, because we are probably going to start with less technical teachers than we might need. Of course, we do have our suggestions on what can be done. Maybe what can be done is that we could give some pedagogical training to some of the vocational training center teachers to support schools, senior schools, or maybe we can give technical orientation to some of the science teachers, like physics teachers, so that they can guide practitioners who are supporting children with practicals and so on. So those will be some things that parents would worry about in terms of STEM. Apart from for labs, of course, many parents are asking the question, will the basic lab be available in every school now that the policy says STEM will be in every school? So those are worries from parents.
I want to ask you this question before we wind up. Yesterday, the president officially launched the infrastructure funds for growth. And when you look at a country, a country is basically defined to be a first world country where the rule of law is there, capitalist economies, advanced infrastructure, and high standard of living. But most importantly, this one is also part of education.
Yeah.
The infrastructure that the president is so passionate about, I don't know what's your take on that, because the education system in the country, just the other day, lecturers went on strike for almost 60, 90 days, 50-something days. Your take on that?
Okay. First of all, personally, I am an ardent believer in development being a process and not an event. Because of even just the definition of the word in English. Development is a process.
Yes.
So I think I would be more interested in, are we on the path rather than are we at the bus stop? But are we on the direction?
Yes.
And I would say yes, we are on the direction. Because we are continuing to refine our education system. So it means we are on the path. Where are we? There could be one or two things that are events. You know, like when the lecturers are on strike, I would call that an event.
Yeah.
I would not call that a systemic issue. Yeah. So the system is CBE. Within the system, there could be an event where we don't have enough technical teachers in year 2026.
Yes.
Now, that does not mean we will not have them in year 2027. So that's why I will say, for education, we're on the right path. And if you think about development, I would look at it big picture. So the levers are education, and we are already refining education. The other lever is infrastructure, which the president, I think, has produced a very brilliant idea here, because his idea, and let's look at the spirit of it. The spirit of it is, how do we get infrastructure to the level we need without necessarily incurring more debt? So I think that's brilliant, because then it becomes a win-win situation. And then the other thing is, of course, politics. The Constitution 2010 was developed as a tool to improve our politics, so that our politics is more issue-based. In terms of individuals playing within that politics, all being at the same level, not true, but the structure is such that it is leading to a future where the politics can work better for us.
I didn't know you can also talk about politics. This is so interesting.
Yes.
George Sikulu, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's been a good year for you. I know it's been a very busy one, trying to streamline everything to ensure that the association that you're representing work hand in hand with the Ministry of Education and the sector players, and we just wish that come 2026, everything is going to go as you planned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
You are welcome.
You said you're a teacher. There is this quote.
By training, yes.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. How would you interpret that in one word? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
When there is demand for learning, there will always be someone motivated to facilitate the learning.
That is a quote by Lao Tzu. Thank you so much. Okay, that's where we wrap it up. Asante sana for being a part of the show. We were just reminding ourselves that, hey, much as we are going for the festivities, but remember there is something that is waiting for us come 2026. That is the next 2 weeks. So everything we do, remember to apply moderation. That is Aristotle's rule of golden mean. Everything you do, apply moderation. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Let's take a break. As we come back, we're crossing over to Zinga. Rashid Mamkondo will be talking about road safety and emergency response. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more.